Everybody loves doing their own favorite activities to pass the time. There are many things people do to pass the time, such as playing sports, watching sports, scrolling through social media, going out, having a picnic, or even sleeping. Everybody has their own unique way of passing the time. But this man, originally known as Lawrence Joseph Bader, would go out fishing and never come back. Larry Bader was born in 1926 in Akron, Ohio, and was an American cookware salesman for the Reynolds Metals Corporation, which was a company that was also based in Akron, Ohio. In his early life, Bader would partially finish high school attending St. Sebastian High School at the time and would later enlist in the U.S. Navy in 1944. Bader would return to finish high school at St. Vincent High School in 1946 after returning from his service to the Navy and resume his academic journey in college. Throughout his college years, Larry attended the University of Akron, though he didn't last long, only managing one semester of college before flunking out. However, just before he left college, Larry met a woman named Mary Lou Knapp and would eventually marry her, and the two would eventually have children together. After leaving college, Larry would land a job at the Reynolds Metals Corporation and would become their cookware salesman as mentioned before. Larry had it all. He had a family with a happy wife and children. Larry had hobbies like fishing and was a contributing member of his society. His favorite hobby was archery, and he was a man of the outdoors, being a huge archery enthusiast. But it's worth mentioning that he had an immense amount of debt with the IRS at the time, owing at least $20,000, which is equivalent to almost $217,000 in the year of 2023. It is important to take note of this information as it might help with possible theories found later in this video. On one faithful day, Larry said his goodbyes to his wife Mary and would leave to attend a business trip in Cleveland, Ohio. Larry mentioned to his wife that he'd make a minor detour on the way back to take a fishing break, despite Mary disagreeing with him and suggesting he comes back directly home instead. Larry remarks, "Maybe I will, maybe I won't." On his way home, Larry would eventually take his fishing break at Lake Erie after renting out a boat, despite the owner telling him about an oncoming storm due to hit sooner than later. The boat Larry rented out was found abandoned with every life jacket in check but an oar missing. The boat had minor damage, but Bader was missing. This would mark the end of Larry Bader's story, leaving his pregnant wife with 3 children and another on the way, pronounced dead at 39 in 1957, and would mark the beginning of John Francis Fritz Johnson's story, leading to the most infamous case of human amnesia to date. John Francis Fritz Johnson made his first appearance 4 days after Bader's disappearance. He was seen in a local roundtable bar in Omaha, Nebraska, looking for some work. Fritz didn't really begin to attract attention until he was found sitting atop a flagpole for 30 days to raise money for polio, an infectious disease caused by the polio virus. His increase in sudden popularity would result in Fritz landing multiple jobs such as bartending, radio announcing, and TV sports directing at KETV7. Fritz's personality was charming and made him popular, and he became one of Omaha's most popular personalities. Johnson lived a life of lavish. He drove a hearse equipped with pillows, a bar, and an incense burner, naming it his hunting vehicle. In 1962, Johnson married Nancy Zimmer, a 20-year-old divorcee, and adopted her daughter. They later had a son together. In 1964, it was discovered that Johnson had a tumor in his right eye, causing him to lose it and wear an eye patch, adding to his rather interesting personality. On February 2nd, 1965, Fritz entered an archery tournament in Chicago. Much like Larry Bader, he too was an archery enthusiast, and perhaps through a sick twist of fate, or maybe even the result of some bad luck, a friend of the Bader family had seen a ghost at the same archery tournament and recognized Fritz as Larry Bader, the man who went missing 7 years ago. This anonymous friend of the Bader family was able to recognize Larry even though he was wearing an eye patch and had a mustache at the time, given he recently lost his eye to his tumor. The anonymous friend of the Bader family decided to bring Larry's niece to the tournament and asked her to take a look at Fritz, whom he was absolutely sure was Bader in disguise. When confronting Fritz, Larry's niece, who was named Suzanne Peka, asked Fritz if he was her uncle, Larry Bader, who disappeared 7 years ago. Fritz, laughing the question off, denied that he had any relation to Suzanne, but Suzanne and the anonymous friend didn't stop there. The friend called Larry's two brothers from Akron, Richard and John Bader, and explained to them that their dead brother had a look-alike in Chicago. The anonymous friend convinced Fritz to speak with the brothers on the phone, but it wasn't just Fritz's voice that intrigued the Bader brothers. It was Fritz's love for archery that did. Upon first meeting each other, Fritz showed no signs of recognition to the Bader brothers. In fact, Fritz was hospitable towards them and answered all of their questions. Eventually, the brothers compared Fritz's fingerprints to Larry's fingerprints on his military records to confirm Fritz's identity. But they matched. Despite records matching of their fingerprints, Johnson swore that he wasn't Larry Bader and told a different tale of his upbringing. Johnson claimed that he was one of 22 babies left on doorsteps in the state of Boston in 1930 and was raised at an orphanage in Brookline, Massachusetts. Johnson also claimed to have joined the Navy in 1943 and was discharged from his service in February of 1957. For comparison, Bader enlisted in 1944 and was discharged in 1946. But I digress. Johnson seemed baffled when the FBI confirmed his fingerprints matched Bader's. Johnson told a reporter that he was sure a fingerprint check would clear him. He also told reporters, "Wouldn't I be out of my mind to agree to the check if I knew I was Bader?" The strange case made national news, and it gained traction fast. Mary Lou Bader, originally known as Mary Lou Knapp, was shocked to discover that she was no longer a widow. Johnson's life quickly unraveled before him. He lost his job at the TV station he was working in, and his marriage was annulled by his wife Nancy. Fritz managed to get his old bartending job back and moved into a room at YMCA Omaha and earned about $100 a week and had to pay $50 weekly to support his children in Akron, and then another $20 to support his children in Omaha. Bader's wife, Mary, even took her kids to see Fritz and have a 2-day family reunion, and Mary said, quote, "He looked the same to me as when he disappeared, except for his mustache and eye patch." Mary said Johnson was wonderful with her and her kids, treating them as if he had known them all their lives. The following month, Fritz was interviewed by a reporter named John DeGroot in Omaha from the Akron Beacon Journal. Johnson said, "My God, don't you understand? All of a sudden, I find out that 30 years of my life never happened. You see, I really do have 30 years of memory as Fritz Johnson. What am I supposed to do with those 30 years? Throw them out the door?" Johnson also mentioned that he has considered visiting Akron, but didn't want to live in Ohio. A team of psychiatrists examined Fritz for about 10 days. Their conclusion was that Johnson really didn't have any memory of his former life, but there was evidence of the past that showed that Bader might have wanted to just quote-unquote start again, such as his debt with the IRS as mentioned before. However, the most infamous case of amnesia and the mysterious circumstances behind it remain unsolved, leaving the story of Fritz Johnson and Larry Bader up to debate to this day. According to psychologists, cases of amnesia lasting several years are rare, but they're not unheard of. I found a couple of theories surrounding this case, but it seems as if some people really do believe that he was faking it. I mean, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered here. How exactly did Bader make it to Omaha without any kind of memory? How is it that Bader could have even disappeared without any recollection of the storm that happened the day he went fishing? How could have Bader gained 30 years of completely false memory, or was it really just a different person? That wouldn't make sense if the fingerprint records matched. I personally believe that this one is a hoax, but it doesn't hurt to read some theories on this case. If there were no military records of Fritz at the time, then I'm pretty sure Bader was just faking it to start a new life. Nonetheless, I will digress just for time's sake so I can get to long video out now. I have only 2 theories for you guys today about this case. Reddit user Smith McMagnum with both theories for today. His first theory is that Bader was a con man till the end, saying, quote, the tumor possibly made him not give a shit and he just didn't want a 4th kid, so he left life to start again. His second theory was that his tumor made him impulsive and he went fishing in a storm, saying, quote, after being legitimately shipwrecked, I know nothing of Navy life, but looking at a map floating from Rocky River, Ohio to Detroit doesn't look impossible. His brain tried filling in who he is best it can, reiterating that Bader joined the Navy in 43 and Fritz has memories of joining the Navy in 44. And he continues with more thoughts relating to his first theory, saying that Bader might not have been on the boat that day in the first place, which definitely seems believable. Overall, this is probably one of the most peculiar mysteries I've seen so far, and I'm open to ideas on what actually happened. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for watching. If I've entertained you, please subscribe. It motivates me to make more of these. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments, or if there's any piece of information that I may have missed throughout this video, call me out on it. And yeah, you know, as I said before, make sure to like, subscribe, comment what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video, whenever that is.
Address out or my number or nothing.
Look, I'll DM it to you.
Now I gotta get ready to fight a bitch.
Okay, you got the address. Hello?
Who the hell is at my door?